Hello and welcome to the 49ers First and 10 podcast presented by Cisco. 10 minutes of the most up-to-date 49ers news first thing in the morning. I'm your host, Brianna Macdonald, and joining me is 49ers team reporter Lindsay Polares and special guest Bridget Condon from NFL Network. Bridget, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me, guys. I'm so excited to finally be covering a 49ers game and head to Seattle. I've actually never covered a Niners Seahawks Thursday night game. I know that this is like very typical for them to play.
Yeah.
So I'm excited. I'm really, really looking forward to tomorrow night.
For whatever reason, the Niners have been at Lumen Field on Thursday night a lot, especially since I got here in 2022. So this is starting to feel very regular.
Yet again, another big-time divisional matchup just days away. But let's start with the latest news. Lindsay, the 49ers recently signed a kicker, Matthew Wright. What was the rather quick process like to get a new kicker in the building?
Yeah, as everyone has seen reported from Sunday, Jake Moody suffered a high ankle sprain. And obviously with the quick turnaround to Thursday night football, getting a new kicker in the building was, I would say, top priority. The 49ers were very swift to action. They had tryouts Monday and then put pen to paper with Matthew Wright yesterday on Tuesday. He's had 24 NFL starts, has been in the 49ers building before, but never played a game in a Niners uniform. But he's spent time with two stints with the Steelers, the Jacksonville Jaguars, Kansas City Chiefs, and Carolina Panthers. So certainly has logged experience and, like I said, just a very big priority for the Niners, who are going to be without their second-year kicker due to that high ankle sprain. So stay tuned, but he's definitely going to be suiting up Thursday.
Yeah, the 49ers have been rolling with that next man up. And one of the biggest roles the team has had to fill since the start of the season was reigning Offensive Player of the Year, Christian McCaffrey. Jordan Mason has stepped in. He's further proven what he's able to do. But Bridget, what's your evaluation of the Niners offense so far this season?
Yeah, I mean, the thing that's interesting is I remember watching that first game without Christian McCaffrey, and it was like Jordan Mason stepped right in, and it felt like Christian McCaffrey was out there still. He leads the NFL with 105 carries. He's second in rushing yards, third. He has 3 touchdowns. So he has done a great job as a replacement. But when you think about Christian McCaffrey and what he does just in terms of catching, running, blocking, everything he does, you definitely miss him, right? And you watch these games and you wonder what they would be like if a Christian McCaffrey was out there. The 49ers, I actually caught up with Kyle Juszczyk yesterday on the phone, and we were kind of talking about the injuries and the adversity that they've faced. And it's a real thing, but as he mentioned, it's the NFL. You're going to deal with injuries, and it's just next man up mentality. And I think they've done well in these first 5 games, trying to figure out what this offense looks like without some of their key pieces. But there's always room for improvement. And that's what he said. He said, Thursday night is a time for us to go out there and get back on track, do what we wanted to coming into this season. With a win against the Seahawks, they could tie for the lead in the division. And there's just so many things kind of on the line this Thursday night. And both teams, obviously coming off that loss on Sunday, are ready to get out there and kind of get back to what they do best.
Taking a look at the other side of the ball, Lindsay, how is the 49ers defense preparing to handle the Seahawks offensive weapons, especially focusing on pass coverage?
Yeah, so the 49ers secondary, again, has been hit by the injury bug. It feels like almost every position group has been hit at least partially by an injury bug. That 49ers secondary is going to have to learn to operate now without Talanoa Hufanga, who actually was only able to play 2 games back after completing his ACL recovery, which was a huge feat in and of itself. He's now dealing with torn ligaments in his wrist. So the 49ers are going to be looking to rookie safety Malik Mustafa. He got his first start in week 3 and played 81% of the defensive snaps in this last game against the Arizona Cardinals after Talanoa Hufanga suffered his injury. So we talked to him yesterday. He said that the game is starting to slow down for him, and he's had a lot of mentors in that defensive back room, really filling him in on just how to make that quick adjustment as a rookie to the NFL. Obviously, no small task, but he is doing well. He's received high praise from linebacker Fred Warner, from Kyle Shanahan. So the 49ers certainly have the faith that he can do this, and he's already shown that he can.
Yeah, Bridget, you mentioned it earlier in the podcast. This is a long-standing rivalry between the Seahawks and the 49ers. But how might the familiarity between Mike Macdonald and Kyle Shanahan influence the strategic approach for both teams in this game?
Yeah, do you guys remember that Christmas Day game? I was there.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I think 49ers fans don't want to remember it, but I again, when I was talking to Kyle last night, I asked him about it, like, can you guys watch some of that tape? And he was like, yeah, especially early in the season when you don't have a ton of tape from teams, you're going to try and pick up whatever you can. And they're reminded of that game. It's different because, of course, the personnel is different. He's not playing with the Ravens players, he's playing with the Seahawks players. But for sure, that familiarity can help. And we know how Kyle Shanahan works and how smart he is. And he's somebody who doesn't like to lose, especially to a younger coach like Mike Macdonald. So that he's gone back to the drawing board, looking at that game, figuring out what exactly they did to throw the offense off of their mark. And I think we're going to see a different 49ers offense against Mike Macdonald this time.
Yeah, the stakes are high in this NFC West rivalry. Lindsay, how is the team approaching the urgency of this game, especially considering they're currently 0-2 in divisional play?
Yeah, I think the best quote of the only media availability that we had this week came from defensive lineman Nick Bosa. He said, this isn't a must-win game because the season isn't over after this game, but it feels like that. The stakes, as we mentioned, very high. If the 49ers are able to get a win in this game, they'll have a share of the division lead, which is really crazy to think about. But yeah, certainly the stakes are high. And also, the 49ers need a get-right game. They need that galvanizing moment. Although I do want to say nobody hit the panic button. The 49ers had a very slow start in 2021 and 2022. Both of those years, they were able to figure it out in that second half of the season, make it to the NFC Championship game. So not all is lost if this doesn't work out the way everyone wants it to over here in the Bay Area. But it is certainly a high-stakes game. There is no question about that.
Yeah, Bridget, put it into perspective for us. With both teams in the mix for the NFC West, how significant is this game for playoff implications, and what does the win mean for each team moving forward?
Well, I totally agree with what Lindsay said. Season's not over if you lose this game, but you're now have lost if they lose 3 games in the division. That's hard to climb out of. And both of these teams are coming in with something on their shoulder. They're mad, right? Like the Seahawks dropped back-to-back games. The Niners just dropped that game in the division to the Cardinals on Sunday. It's a short week, so you don't have your typical time to prepare, right? Like you're not in the lab as much as you are on a Sunday watching film. So both of these teams feel a sense of urgency. And again, it's a Thursday night at Lumen Field. The crowd is going to be crazy. These two rivalries, it's kind of flip-flopped. Like years ago, the Seahawks won, I don't know exactly the number, but a bunch of games in a row. Then it recently flipped. Brock Purdy's never lost to the Seahawks. So the Niners have been able to win the past couple of seasons. So when you add all that, the division, the rivalry, both these teams coming off of losses, it just adds that much more like reason to want to go out there and win. So I think you're going to see, yes, guys get up for every game. And if you talk to players, they'll say every game is just as important. But to me, it feels like there's a little bit more on the line for this game. And a win would just make everybody like be able to take a deep breath. Again, a loss doesn't mean things are over, but you want to be on that plane Thursday night heading back to the Bay with a win in your record book.
To add on to that, just wanted to say also too, in a media scrum with George Kittle, and we all love the energy that George Kittle brings. To add to that, Lumen Field has a very enthusiastic crowd. It is an adverse environment, and he says that really makes him just thrive, want to play even better because you just get a lot of mixed energy, right? And then also too, fun fact for all the Niners fans that always roll deep, Vivid Seats has about 67% of Lumen Field's tickets going to the Niners. So while it is an away stadium, there is going to be a hefty crowd cheering the red and gold on. So a lot of factors to put into this one at Lumen Field. Might feel like less of an adverse environment than we're used to.
Yeah, the faithful always show out. And Lindsay, I wanted to ask you, you got to see some of the team yesterday in press conferences and in the locker room after a tough loss against the Cardinals. How are the Niners feeling heading into Thursday Night Football? What kind of message were they sharing about their mindset of this game?
I think it's what we heard exactly pretty much at the end of regulation, like in those post game press conferences after the Cardinals. They were very eager to turn the page, right? Again, not ideal with short rest, short week, not enough, or not. I mean, there will be plenty of time to game plan, but not your normal amount of time to game plan. But it's also an opportunity to get right a little bit faster. You don't have to wait to Sunday for that get right game. And I think that's the energy they're coming in with. So, yes, they're tired. Yes, they could do with some more rest, but the motivation to get back to 3-3, take back a share of that division lead is at an all-time high.
Yeah, a big time NFC West matchup fit for a primetime game. Thank you, Bridget, for joining us today. Faithful, tune into the 49ers Seahawks contest on Prime Video at 5:15 p.m. Pacific time this Thursday. Don't forget to subscribe to First and 10 presented by Cisco for more 49ers updates. Turn on the notifications for any breaking news, Move the Chains episodes, and thanks for tuning in.